welcome to Glen and Gina Palmer from Minds Tomorrow. Glen and Gina have a long history of coaching top corporations and taking their sales teams to higher levels of growth, and individual business owners, and building greater and greater success in all levels of business. They're members of the American Board of Hypnotherapy, Timeline Therapy Association, and the American Board of NLP. And today in the 5-step sales process, we'll be learning a little bit of NLP, but just to give you a little bit of an inside, this is just a glimpse of what Glen and Gina do with business. And when we were looking at it ourselves, we think we will probably go on and do further education with Glen and Gina to take our business up to higher levels. So they have varying levels of courses that you can do. You can do a 1-day course, you could do 1 week, or you could do ongoing coaching. So they might talk about that at the end of the webinar. But welcome to Glen and Gina, and I'll hand it over to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you to Sam. Thank you for inviting us to the webinar program today, and hi to everyone out there. Obviously, I'm Gina and this is Glen from Minds Tomorrow, and we're delighted to be here today. This is all about you, and we're here to facilitate a bit of a discussion. I don't know why this is back to front all of a sudden. It's quite interesting. It's going to make for an interesting time. Look, our vision is transformation through positive change for life. And when we look at your website, we note that you have a statement up there from Dr. Joel Wallach that says, it's not what you eat that kills you, it's what you don't eat. And in business, what we know for certain is that it's what we don't focus on and what we don't do that results in less than optimal results. And of course, we know transformation is key, and it really starts with the business owners, that's yourselves and us, and building the right resources that we need to really transform our business. And those right resources are the ones that we have within. And Glen's going to touch some more on that later on. So whether you're in a store or your own physical place or online, how would you really like to achieve a great outcome, not just for yourselves, but also for your customers, for your colleagues? Doesn't matter if it's here in Australia or wherever it is in the world. How would you like to really get a great outcome for everyone so that you have a sense of satisfaction and you know that there's wholeness in your business and in what you do? Would that work for you? I would think it does. I know other people we work with say that it is. And it'll give you better outcome personally and financially. And that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep.
So this is why we enjoy working with people, really enjoy delivering the 5-step sales process workshop. It's actually a program. The full program is 2 days, and we've condensed it to 1 day for some businesses, depending on what they want to focus on. Today, we're narrowing it down and giving a broad overview. And Glen is actually going to focus in on one aspect of the 5-step sales process for us. And, you know, whether you're operating your business just coming into it now, or whether you've been there for quite some time, you know, I'm interested in finding out, do you know how to achieve high-level sales? Do you know for sure? And do you know what you're going to do to really make sure it's long-term? And do you know how to look at the resources within so that you can grow your sales in an optimal way longer term? Yeah. So I'm going to pass over to Glen, and I'm not sure why this is in reverse.
No, it's not. It's not for us.
It's not
for you.
It's like a mirror.
Oh, it's like a mirror.
And we do a lot of matching and mirroring. And
yes, that's appropriate.
Good lead-in, Jim.
All right, so here we go. I'm passing over to Glen. And by the way, as I said before, this is all about you. So please write down questions that you have as we go through, because towards the end, we want to leave a fair bit of time for you to ask those questions. And for you, this is all about learning. Okay, so thank you. I'm passing over to Glen, and I might jump in every now and then.
Absolutely. I always need help.
Okay.
Look, being a man, there's a 5-step sales process. You've probably got an email. The first one, the most important one is rapport. So that's the one I'll be focusing in on today. But there's also questions. And when you're gaining rapport, you're actually asking questions at the same time. So when you have rapport with somebody, you don't have to keep trying to match and mirror. You can start asking questions to find out the need. And then you have the ability to link that need or value to their need. And then you close. So it's a pretty simple process, but there's quite a bit more involved within it. So what we're going to do today is just focus on rapport. And I'd just like to, my favourite chart, it's called the NLP communication model. And why is it my favourite chart? We only have 5 senses that actually we can use. We gather information this way. So it's visual, it's seeing something, auditory, it's hearing something, kinesthetic, feeling something, and also olfactory and gustatory. So what's that mean to you is that different people have different ways of processing information. So a visual person will see what they want to do. An auditory person will hear. And a kinesthetic person will get a good feeling for it. So today, when all this information comes in, it is going to be your state, what you make of an internal representation of what you've seen on past history. You'll go into a state, and this is in flux, and also it affects your physiology, therefore your behaviour and your results. So what we're interested in today is determining the results in your behaviour. So Henry Ford once said, if you believe you can, you're right, and if you believe you can't, you're right. So today we're going to talk about quite a few things, but just focusing in on that rapport and how people have their own model of the world. We're all different and we all see things differently. So let us begin. That looks better, doesn't it?
Great.
Any questions so far?
Anyone that has a question, just unmute yourself, please.
Yep. We're going to talk about perception as projection. Just before we go into that, because perception outside of everything else is one of the most important things. Everybody perceives their own world in their own way. So I'm going to quote a guy here I do a bit of reading with, Edward de Bono. I'm not sure if you guys know him, but he quotes, outside highly technical matters, perception is by far the most important part of thinking. Perception is how we look at the world, what things we take into account, and how we structure our world. So where you are today is a result of all your conscious and unconscious thinking. And hopefully everybody in here knows they've got an unconscious mind.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
I've got a really good one.
Oh, I'm pleased.
Lots of stories in it.
Lots of stories.
Excellent.
Now we have a little thing in NLP saying, say it the way you want it. So just before we get into this report, when I talk to a lot of people, and Gina, we say, what do you want? And they say, well, I don't want a bad boss. I don't want this and I don't want that. So what they're doing is they're focusing on what they want. And the first thing, if you just change the way you talk to yourself and you talk to others and you say, I am, I can, I will. So you're actually broadening your whole horizon. That affects your physiology. It affects all these things here and it affects your behaviour in the long run. Okay, so I do get carried away. 5 principles for success. Who wants to know them?
Yes.
Know your outcome. So what do you really want to get out of what you're doing? Stay focused and allow yourself to see the opportunities out there that come along. You need to know your outcome every step of the way. Now, it sounds, pretty tough, but if you're having rapport, if you want to build rapport, NLP has given to the world a process of getting rapport with somebody. Okay? So we're going to show you a bit of a process today. The second one is take action. If you don't take action, nothing changes. And you will not get your desired outcomes. And we have another thing called sensory acuity. That means we all do this naturally. I mean, if you stop and think about it now, if you leave today and you go and meet somebody, you know, like your grandkids or a friend of that, and you're talking, you're going to see a colour change. Just like me, I've gone bright red for some reason. Okay? It's because I'm enjoying myself, I guess. But you're going to start seeing little minute changes. And that can tell you if your message is getting through. You ever been to a party and you start talking to somebody and they keep looking at their watch because they want to get away from you? Your message is not getting through. So you need to change. And that's the crux of it all.
And when you go to a party and we're talking about rapport, there's one thing to really remember, and that is to be uptime. So by that I mean when you're there, you're focused on the person that you're talking with and not looking at your watch or not thinking about the next person you're going to go and see, because you're going to miss a lot of valuable information that that person is sharing with you. So be uptime and focus is really important.
Okay. So let's get into rapport. I'd like to read another little quote that I like. A classic study by Professor Albert Mirabam showed that a human communication that study showed that the overall major part of communications lies not in the actual words, but in everything else you are doing. So if we were sitting here and not saying anything, we would be communicating something to you. How you say them, they're 38%. So how you say a word, remember the old saying, it's not what you say, it's how you say it? It's the tonality that you're coming through. And the other one is your physiology. So keep in mind that rapport is power. Okay, empowers you to make a difference. Want to go and see how powerful rapport really is? Well, we're going to do that right now. So, Gina and me are going to be meeting for the first time. And I'll actually take you and show you how to do this. But everybody has their own way of communicating. Visually, so they see pictures. Auditory, they hear sounds, and they're quite easily distracted by noises, by the way. So if you're talking to somebody who's an auditory person, they'll be jumping at every slight sound. Kinesthetic, they get a really good feeling. Okay, and gustatory and olfactory is probably something we don't use. Okay, but I remember when I was a child, it's still very important. I was buying my grandma used to buy me a pie up in Nambour on the Sunshine Coast. Sorry about that, guys. And the thing was that every time I smelled a pie, it brought back this really great feeling. Okay. All right. So it's a really good way of going. So when we're talking about that, because you guys do a lot of phone work, is that right?
We do. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to be talking about the representational systems, creating rapport. So what's going to happen is, the first thing is you're going to use their words. Okay, what the person says. They do that at an unconscious level, by the way. Use the same tonality. And this is what Gina and me are going to show you right now. Say the words the way they do. Okay, not what you might think, well, they're saying that all wrong. And so you say it the way you want to say it. What happens is you lose that rapport, you break rapport when you don't want to. Adopt the same physiology, use the same posture and gestures. Okay, so if I was walking up to Gina, and you guys can try this, but usually we do this in a group of 3, and we have person A and B, and then someone standing there actually coaching them so that they can get the same tonality. Now, when you're a man and you're talking to a woman and she's talking in a high pitch for a woman, you wouldn't go up and talk like a woman, because that would be pretty obvious, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to talk in a high pitch for a man. You talk from the head. Okay. So I'm going to get going. Hi, Gina. Glen here. How are you?
Hi, Glenn. Yeah, okay. How you going?
Yeah, that wasn't really good, was it? I mean, she didn't match me. She was unaware of what was going on. We have a thing in NLP called uptime. Okay, being sensory acuity is being aware of what is going on around you. So every question you have that you want to ask the client, you need to have it up here. You need to have it at front of mind, because what happens is, you ever gone and someone's asked you a tough question, you go back inside searching for the answer, and by then they've moved on. Okay? So we'll try this again. Hi, Gina. Glen here. How are you?
Hi, Glenn. Good, thanks. Yeah.
She hasn't quite got it. Okay? And she's being difficult. Something like that. Okay?
Well, maybe she's testing you to match a mirror her.
Well, she could be. But I'm the client.
Oh.
I'm the client. She wants to sell me something. So who would be important to match a mirror?
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was the other way around.
Yeah.
Well, that's usual, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
so who would it be important to match a mirror? Would be
Yes.
the client.
Yes.
So we'll talk about this very shortly. Hi, Gina. Glen, how are you?
Hi, Glenn. I'm well. How are you?
Good.
That's
Thanks
good.
very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, that was much better. She could improve. However, that was much, much better. So the thing is, use their words. Okay, don't go, someone says, and some people have little words that they use all the time. So if someone's talking to you and they keep saying the word like actually, and they use it half a dozen times, you want to tuck that away and go, And so when you say actually, when you do this, this, and this will give you a great outcome. Actually, and this is the best way to go. And people go, connects with their unconscious mind. Everybody knows we've got an unconscious mind. Who beat you last night? Who beats your heart 100,000 times a day? Unconscious mind. Who closes and opens your hand? It's your unconscious mind. Imagine trying to close your hand consciously. Pretty hard, isn't it? I couldn't do it. Use the same tonality. Say the words the way they do. Okay? Then people have little idiosyncrasies, that's really great. You don't do things when they're doing them. Okay? Don't do it at the same time, because that will be very obvious. When it's your time to speak, then you can use it, because they will not know you're doing it. And why would they know that you're doing it? Is because you come back to this communication model. They're getting 11 million bits per second of information coming into their senses. Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, gustatory, and what we call digital. So they're not going to notice what you're doing, unless you're like, when you were a kid and you're teaching your sister, which I used to do a lot, she would be doing things and I'd be doing them exactly the same time. I was mimicking her. You don't want to do that. You want to keep it up there and then go, wow, and do it. So, hi, Gina. Glen.
Hi, Glenn. I'm Gina.
Fantastic. Great.
Great,
And
thanks.
what can you help me with today?
Today, we're going to sit down and have a chat about how you're running your business and how we can help.
Well, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's as easy as it gets. Now, how would you know you got rapport? Okay. Anybody got any ideas? No?
Probably picking it up in like body language. I'll be looking for signs of, acceptance, approval.
Okay. All right. So before we get into the other stuff, I'll just tell you, there's 4 indicators of rapport. Okay, 4 indicators. The first one is an internal feeling you get. Have you ever gone to somebody and you go, wow, I really feel comfortable? Okay, you establish rapport, you've shaken hands. The unconscious mind says, he's just like me, or she's just like me. Okay, so you get that internal feeling unconsciously. Colour changes, the colour of your face, that's sensory acuity. So if someone's face changes colour, okay, your message is getting through. So you can keep communicating in the way you're communicating. And if they say something, did I know you in a past life? Do we have that connection? That's optional. Some people don't say that. And then you can lead them where you want to go. So leading people where you want to go is really good. Okay, how can you lead someone where you want to go? Is by having a rapport. Okay, so that's how you would know. And because they know too, by the way.
And what Glenn was talking about before, about that transmission, that change of colour that happens in us, it happens neurologically. We have got transmitters in our body. They send chemical messages, and those chemical messages can excite us. And when we're excited, we're really going to be more uptime. We're going to be focused in on what we're doing. So what we're filtering from the outside world coming into us, as per the diagram that Glenn was talking about before, remember that what comes in is going to be processed and it's going to be sent down through our body. And that's why we get this colour change.
Yeah, I get that all the time. Okay.
So just to ask a question, is it every bit of skin colour change indicating that you've got good rapport?
Oh, no, it can be the other way too.
Yeah.
If the tone of voice, it's just not the skin colour change, it's the tone of voice. So if you're communicating to me and you upset me, I'll probably go red in the face and raise my voice and get quite assertive.
Yeah.
Where if someone says, oh, yes, that's really great, and they get a real flush, their lips fill out with blood, they're quite excited about what's going on. If you're losing rapport, most likely their lips will drain of blood and get thin. And seal the lines, because then they're sort of, you're not connecting with them. They're thinking, oh, Jesus, I don't like this guy. Perception is projection. Go back to perception is projection.
Yeah.
Basically, what you see in somebody the most is what's inside you.
Okay. So if you see a fist forming, you just run for the hills.
But perception is projection in that. And it can be, I'm like that. I like that person. I like that person. I like that person, but I don't like that person. That's the person most likely like you. That's Carl Jung said basically the person that's most like you is the one that you're projecting. So if you go in there with a projection of saying, I'm not going to make this sale today, I hope I don't blow it. Hope I don't blow it. And the unconscious mind does not process negatives. So the unconscious mind is like a 5-year-old child when it comes to that. Don't blow it, it just hears blow it. So you start unconsciously. I've been in sales for a long time, and I go sometimes and I go, well, this is a tough one. It's too expensive. It's not this, it's not that. And I've got this feeling inside myself that I'm not going to make the sale. So what happens? I don't make the sale. Done it.
So when you say the subconscious doesn't process, but paradoxically
negatives,
it is processing, it's just putting up a wall.
Okay, so Sam, don't think of a purple tree. What did you do first? You had to think of a purple tree.
I just made a purple tree.
That's right. Then you can change it. But don't think of a purple tree there like it doesn't process a negative.
Yeah.
It takes bang, purple tree, thank you.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. So all these things are visual, the auditory, that's seeing, that's hearing, that's feeling, and auditory digital is self-talk. You ever had someone you're talking to and every time you say something, they repeat it back to themselves? They're checking. They're going and checking. There's strategies you can use with the eyes. So there's strategies you can use because when you go and see something, you're looking up. You're either making a picture or you're recalling a picture and hearing. Anyway, we're getting off the track here. And then feeling is going down to your left-hand side as you look at somebody. So it's very important. These are actually what they see. So if someone says to you, I don't see what you mean, they don't see what you mean. Literally. It's not a metaphor or anything. They say, I don't see what you mean. We'll talk about representational systems in a second. Auditory, I can't understand. I can't hear what you're saying.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah. So they're not making sense of what you're saying. So you're not speaking in the way they like to receive information. I can't get a grasp of this. I can't get a hold of it. I haven't got that feeling. Okay. And self-talk, basically, they go and check and make sure, and I go back to another one of these things. Okay. So visual people. So we don't categorise, and this is not always the case, but you don't categorise, but visual people are often sit and stand straight, okay? They'll speak rather quickly. And why they speak rather quickly is because they can see the whole picture and will get easily distracted, okay? They'll move on. They'll go, you'll start explaining a concept to them. I'm visual. And once I got the picture, I want to move on. Okay, so if you're kinesthetic and you're talking to a person who's a visual, who talks fast, and then you talking really slowly, and you got really, because you're checking on your feelings. It's not that you're not smart. So don't think the kinesthetic, because they speak slow, are not smart. It's just that they like to get in touch with their feelings.
And when you're on the phone and you're talking to a client, a customer, and they're talking slowly like this, and you're trying to talk really fast because you're trying to get a message across, you could lose them.
So, and talk, visual are normally thin and wiry, or the other extreme, obese and, quite chubby. Okay. They're less distracted by noise. They'll also have trouble remembering verbal instructions. I put my hand up for that one. I can't remember verbal instructions. So that's a visual person. So this is going into the representation. So when you get on a phone, if someone's talking fast, you can go, most likely visual. So if you talk really slow to the visual person, you've lost them because they're going. You need to pick up your pace. And this is where the tonality comes in. It's just not voice matching in that. It's the same pace as we're going there in a minute. Auditory will often move their eyes to the side. They're not being shifty. Okay, that's where they hear things and they remember sounds and they make up sounds.
Just on the visual, Sam walked into a room. I was in an office, and I used to deal with a lot of real estate agents. All visuals, and they talk a million miles an hour, and Sam walked in and heard my whole conversation, and I got off the phone. He said, God, there was no niceties in that, was there? And I said, well, you get to the point with real estate agents. You get it across fast. They don't want to muck around with any time wasting, and bye, see ya.
Yep, that's right, and that's right. Where the kinesthetic will want to, move in close to you, probably, how you going?
Yeah.
And have a bit of a chat and get in touch with their feelings.
Yeah.
So the auditory person remember things easily. Okay, verbally. You give them verbal instructions. You ever found anybody you're talking to and you give them an instruction, they remember it? Gina gives me instructions, and I say, I might do the first one. I go, what was the second and the third? Because I'm visual. Now, I mean, that's just the way I operate. I talk very quickly. I like to get things done. I can see the picture. I know what I've got to do. I'm not easily distracted by noise. But then again, if you're talking to me, in a static or an auditory way, then I'll get a little bit bored and then I want to move away. So
this is quite a relief, because I thought it was Alzheimer's.
Don't tell anybody.
The funny thing about Glen is that he's visual and kinesthetic to a degree, because he can touch, type, and talk at the same time.
See, there you go. See?
I was referring to myself for that comment, not you.
Oh, I thought you were referring to me. That's all right.
Because I'm. But
the ordinary person likes to remember things, likes procedures, and talks well on the phone.
Yeah. Okay. Michelle tells me what to get from the supermarket, and I get down there and I have to text her. Can you put it in a text for me?
I do exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't go without a list.
Yeah. I hate people telling me, how to get to an address and give me a long-winded explanation. And I say to them, just give me the address and I'll Google it. I want to see it.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, you want to see the picture.
That's right.
Yeah.
So kinesthetic person, they usually breathe on their belly and they talk slowly. Okay, getting in touch with their feelings. It's not, like I said, it's not because they're slow. It's just that they like to get a feeling for it. They want to get a good feeling for something. They want to make sure, does this feel right? So if you're selling to somebody, and this is really good, guys, if you're selling to somebody and you're on the phone and they go, hello, who's calling? What do you do? What do you do? You go, slow your voice down. Hello. Pause, just like he did. My name is Glenn and I am from... Okay, so you match their speed, their tonality, their volume, their pitch, the timbre of the voice. So you've matched all that. And then I got a list of predicates that I'll share with you guys. Okay, so then you can just start, and they're all set up in visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. You can all start just using them. We had a client who, on the phone, and this guy decided he was kinesthetic, he was a slow speaker, and he just followed the list down and said, no, I understand, you can't, what is it? I feel for you. And I know you can't touch this, and you feel it's slipping or grasp is going through your fingers. And you said you got halfway down the list, and the guy said, you're right. You're the first person who's been talking to me, because everybody else was talking in a visual or auditory.
And this was an insurance situation on the phone.
I'm an ex-financial planner. I'm still a financial planner as well, but I used to do financial planning, so I used to sell intangibles. Okay, how would you like to do that? We used to have a saying in the industry, back the Hearst up. Okay, and that was this basically to get into touch with somebody's feelings.
And so remember, when you're on the phone, really listen to the other end. How are these people speaking? What words are they using? And like Glenn said, we'll send out the predicates. And the predicates are really the words that we know that are going to correlate with the visual, the seeing, the auditory, the kinesthetic, and the auditory digital, which is the self-talk. And believe me, when you're on the phone, or even if you are writing an email to someone and you've received an email from someone like an inquiry, you'll be able to work out what they're thinking or how they're thinking, or what language they're using from what they're writing and what they're saying on the phone. So listening is really important. And yes, you've got bountiful information that you want to get across. The first step is shut up and listen.
Does everybody know, I've done it, because salespeople like to talk. Okay, everybody in here is a salesperson. Everybody likes to talk because they know so much about it. You go into a business and the sales means speaking to the manager, and the manager's talking and the sales guy's going, oh, you got the answer, I've got the answer. He's not listening. I've got the answer. And then he blurts out and the guy says, you don't even know my business. How could you know the answer? And then bang, no report.
Gone.
Okay, so listen until people are fully emptied out. Okay, when they've told you everything, fully listen. Okay.
And that's part also, before we come back all the time, to being uptime. Be totally focused on the conversation you're having with the other person. And it doesn't mean and it means that whether it's an email or a phone call or face-to-face, that person is there for a reason. So listen with the intent to understand.
And that example I gave before on the phone, okay, remember I said that these aren't sort of like an idea. This is how people see things. So even if you're on the phone, if you're talking to a visual person, you sit up straight, back, you assume the physiology that a visual, this is what you worked out, he's a visual person. So he's going to be sitting up straight talking. So once you stuck in the physiology, your internal state changes. Okay? So you sit up straight and then you talk the way he's talking with his same tone and speed. And because he can't see, it doesn't matter because it's literal. He can't see. If you're saying to a guy, well, mate, if you get a really good feel for this, this product here will make you 15 years younger and turn grey hair back into black or something. And he's talking, what are you talking about, mate? I've got to go. It's too busy. See ya. You've lost him. Okay? So if he's a visual, you talk. His space, his pace, his pitch, his tonality, his tone of voice. And you actually adopt the same physiology on the phone as if he was sitting right in front of you.
We had a client who's a national manager for an international education business, and she does a lot of work online internationally via email, Skype, phone, a lot by phone. And one thing she did pick up on, because she went through a process with us, was when she's talking with clients and students on the phone internationally, she knows how she has to sit at the other end of the phone based on the communication she's had with the student or the client, whoever it is that she's talking with. So it's really important to make sure your physiology is ready for that interaction. It's really important.
Okay. Alrighty. So, intonation patterns. Okay. I'll use the word W, intonation patterns. The reason we do this is that people talk to people in a certain way. So if you're talking to someone, you're asking for an order for a sale. Tell me which one would have probably be seen as more
impactful,
insertive, impactful. Word. Can you send me a check? Or can you send me a check? Or can you send me a check? The actual going down, the power statement is more important. It shows that you mean what you're saying and that you know what you're doing. If you go, can you send me a check? They're thinking, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah, I can walk over him. Not a problem. Because the Aussies do that. We always go, I'll see you later, mate, hey? Hey, we're going up here. Our voice goes up naturally. So you just got to be aware of that. It's called being in uptime, being aware of what you're doing. So when you see somebody actually doing something, then you can actually come out and say, wow, this is what we can do for you. So I've written down some questions, by the way, that I thought you might find interesting. Does that all make sense to you guys?
Yes. Yep.
That's rapport. So rapport happens at the same time you're asking questions. Okay? So you go out, I establish rapport with Gina. Doesn't mean I got to keep making rapport with her all the way through. Since I have rapport, and if I'm sitting with Gina, or so we're talking then, I've got my arms folded, and she's got her arms folded, okay? Then I go like this, and I put my hands on my legs, and then she follows me. Before you are what we call pacing the client. It's helping you get rapport. So you're pacing the client. Now, if you want to know you got rapport, and you feel you have, because they'll feel it too, you just change subtly. And if they follow you, you know you're in rapport. Then you can start asking all those questions.
What about that fellow at the car park? You've got the security guard.
Oh, that guy.
This is a good story.
Yeah. I'm parked in a no standing in a shopping centre. He got out, mate of mine got out, and he had to drop in, and it was only going to be a couple of seconds, and this security guy came over, you can't park there. And my mate, who's an NLP guy, turned around and said, I'm sorry, just be a couple of seconds. And the guy said, go. Okay, and then he reckons he was following me out the car park, wanted to have a beer. Okay, so it's just before. And the reason why it's so powerful is, you got a big pen there?
What are you after?
When you look at, you want to turn that up a bit?
Sure.
Words are 7% of the communication process. 7%. This was done by a guy, Bird Whistle, back in the 70s. He wrote an article on kinesics.
Kinesthetics.
No, Kinecis.
Words
Words are only 7%. Okay? They do matter, but they're only worth 7% because words allow you to ask people questions and everything. Tonality, a whopping 38%. So when you're on the phone talking to somebody, if you start adopting their speed, their pitch, their timbre and everything else like that and start using their rep system, that's the predicates they use, like seeing, for visual, hearing for auditory, and feeling for kinesthetics, 38%. And your physiology, a massive 55%. So now you're armed. If you know your product, which you guys do, okay, if you start adopting these same tonalities, the speed, the pitch, the volume, timbre, the whole lot, and the physiology. So a visual person usually sits upright, is wiry and thin, not always the way. An auditory person will have a very mellifluous voice and talk in a lot of hearing words.
Almost sounds like they've got an operatic way of talking.
And a kinesthetic person will really check out their feelings. Really check out their feelings. So if you adopt all those and use the words they're using, if you're not 100% sure, you can use words from each one, each representational system. That's so powerful. Rapport is power. It empowers you. It empowers the other person. When you have rapport with somebody, it's a win-win outcome. No one loses, because if you are like somebody, they like you. If you are like someone, they like you. If you don't like someone, they don't like you. You've been to a room, you walk in and you, oh gee, I don't like him, and he doesn't like you instant. It's an instantaneous thing. You haven't said anything to him, or she, they already know because of your body language. 55%. Powerful stuff. Anybody got any questions?
I'm just wondering if you could give us a demonstration just quickly.
A demonstration of?
Using those three modalities in one conversation.
Sure.
Okay, let's see how I go.
Want to sit down?
Oh, yes, I should sit down.
Have a seat.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Gina.
Hi, Glenn.
This is a whiteboard marker. As you can see, it's a really great whiteboard marker. It's red and it's fantastic. It writes everywhere. It's very clear. And if you can imagine what's going on there, and I get the feeling that if you bought this, it would give you such a knowing within yourself, and that you can really get a grasp of how well this really does work. And you probably can say, and if this had ears, it would be speaking to you and would probably hear everything you said. Because when you buy this whiteboard marker, you'll be able to have people see what you're doing so well. You'll be able to communicate auditory word, and they'll get a really good feeling of what you're trying to get across. How does that sound to you?
That sounds great. And in fact, can I have a look at that? Because I just want to have a feel of this. Oh, and I can see how it's all been put together.
So when you're that's very contrived, but when you start doing that, so you've got your product, right? And you're not 100% sure. This list here, I don't know if you can see it. This list here will give you a good idea. So, and tells you the top part down here. I'll probably only send you that section up there because that gets a little bit technical if you don't know what you're looking at, but it's very straightforward. You see it?
Yep, great.
So they're all the words. And I always suggest to people that I work with that if they find a word that is not on the list, to add it to their repertoire. Because you really need it at front of mind. Okay? You need to be uptime. And when you're in uptime, if a person asks you a question, you don't have to go and look for it internally.
So in that demonstration, were you picking up that Gina was kinesthetic?
Kinesthetic, yep.
Okay.
I used all the representational systems.
And when he got me, what got me was when he started saying about the colour, and then when he was saying about how it was going to work. So when you pick up that someone is visual and kinesthetic, you then start using those particular predicates around the visual and the kinesthetic in your conversation with them. The first thing I wanted to do was actually take the pen out of Glen's hands and have a feel of it for myself. Because when I do go to buy a pen, oddly enough, I look for the visual and I look for how it works. I'm not too worried about how it sounds. It's a pen. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And so if I'm on the phone to somebody and they're talking to me, I just let them talk and I write down. When I first started doing this years ago, I made up my list, 3 columns, and I had my words there, and I would just tick what words they were predominantly using, and I would just talk to them using similar words from my list, because I knew if I was getting a feeling of connectivity with them, they were getting a feeling of connectivity with me.
You can know when you're in rapport with somebody because you'll get a feeling. And if you're getting the feeling, that's a connection.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
Now, we're just cognizant of time.
Yes. Yeah.
And what we want to know is, Glen's just going to finish something at the moment. We just want to open it up to questions.
Okay, so just to say, don't be scared of a no. A no's a lot better than a maybe. I'm sure.
KNOW. They just want to know more.
No more?
No is a KNOW. They want to know more.
Well, that could be a good no too, but maybe an NO. It could be your best friend because you don't focus and keep chasing somebody. And if you can't establish a need and a value and link that need, then...
I always thought as a salesperson that was my job to I was the qualifier. I wasn't a salesperson, I was a qualifier, master qualifier. So I had the best product in the world, which we have, and I had to match that. I had to work out whether they needed it. And with longevity, that's easy because if they're breathing, they need it.
Yep.
No, it's not if they're going to buy, it's when and how that I've got to sort out.
Okay. Yep. Well, I totally agree because I made a note here. You need to see what you're selling is invaluable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're willing to do whatever it takes.
The golden rule of selling, you have to have the best product in the world.
Really valuable it is, yeah.
Sorry, Sam?
The golden rule of selling, you have to have the best product in the world or you're wasting your time. There's no second best in selling.
Yeah, knowing that you got the best product gives you the enthusiasm to sell.
Absolutely, the confidence.
Yes.
That's right. So if you can't see what you're selling is valuable, probably you shouldn't be selling it.
Yeah, and if you've got the best product and if you've got the best value product in a monetary sense, and you've got the best delivery system, you've got everything. If you don't have those 3 things.
But, okay, let's say, for example, that you've actually got rapport with the person and you've asked the questions. And
okay, what questions do you ask?
Yeah, well, I'll leave that to you.
Well, I always...
Are you breathing?
That's probably not a great question.
No.
But you probably wouldn't be talking to them about when breathing. You need to have probably at least 5 to 10 questions that you can ask about what they want. You need to have that because if every time you see a new client and you've got to go, well, what am I going to ask them? You're going inside. You're not outside. You're not watching rapport. You're not actually doing all these things. You're inside, internalized. You ever been to a lecture? I have when I did uni. We had a professor. He'd come in.
Yeah.
He'd be looking down. He'd go, nice to have everybody here today. I know you will get a great... He wouldn't have known if I walked out or anybody walked out of the auditorium. So he just was everything he was doing was internal. So as a salesperson, we're all salespeople, whether you're selling to your kids or you're selling to your neighbours or whatever it is, you're selling.
Yeah.
So even this process, this 5-step sale process, encapsulates NLP. Okay. So I'm going to give you some questions that I put together quickly today.
So write these down.
If you want to. What do I do there?
Okay.
So you can ask, what do you do? What are you interested in? Because someone's obviously come up into your business. Okay, so they want something. So you want to find out what they're interested in. What that's doing is actually getting them to go inside and bring up why they're interested in buying your buying your product. What I'm saying, what the problem part is that they have an internal representation of using your product before they actually even come to you. They've made a picture. I bought a car. Okay, before I bought the car, I actually knew what sort of car I wanted, what I wanted it to look like. It's the same when I go and buy some vitamins. I want to know what they're going to do for me. So I've actually got an internal representation inside of me already. So it's your job to get 80% of the people who come in there to buy your product.
Otherwise, why are they calling you, or why are they getting on your website? They already are interested. So when you ask them the question, what are you interested in? It'll be amazing to hear what comes out of their mouth.
So they might say, one of your products. You say, fantastic. And for what purpose do you want this? And for what purpose do you want this?
And they might then start saying, oh, I've got osteoporosis, or I've got this. And what you're doing is you're going from this big, wide picture, and you're going to narrow it down, and you're going to be able to really sell this.
So what you're doing is you're saying to discover the need. So you're discovering the need of it. What would be, and then you want to find out the next step. What would be, obviously you can ask, and what else? And what else? Just because you've asked it once doesn't mean you've got to stop. Because people have got a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Okay? So you might ask it a few times, or whatever you feel, because you know when somebody's emptied out and they've got nothing else.
They stop.
So what would be a successful outcome if we went ahead with this? In your own words. This is just me. I'm not, okay?
So when you ask them that question, they're going to say, okay, so what would be a successful outcome if I bought this product? Oh, wow, they'll start getting a feeling about it.
And if you're matching and mirroring tonality and their words, using the predicates, okay, people, I'm not saying that it's going to happen instantly. Getting a report might take you 5 minutes, but if you can develop trust in somebody in 5 minutes at the unconscious level, that's pretty awesome, isn't it? 5 minutes. Because I go to a barbecue, most of us go to a barbecue. Before I learned NLP, I used to go to a barbecue and, might see an attractive girl there. And I'd say, oh, where'd you go to school? What do you do? And that, and I'm trying to get a connection. You do this with the physiology in your tone because it's unconscious. What's your definition? My definition of unconscious is the part of your mind that you aren't presently conscious of. Okay, if I ask people here, how many degrees in a right angle? Most people would say 90, hopefully. Well, what's your phone number? Mobile phone number. People would go like that. Where was it before it became conscious? Before you actually were consciously aware of it. So every bit of information you got, you don't forget. You just have to retrieve it.
So another question is, what is important to you about this? So they might have called you and they want a particular product that you sell. And so as you're going through the questions, the next one could be, so what's important to you about this? And they'll start rattling off all these reasons why they want it. They're giving you the information you need.
Okay. And have you ever bought anything like this before that you really liked? Let's get him to go and get that feeling back again. Okay? Because that's called anchoring. Okay? That's just a verbal anchor. Okay? You get him to go back and you anchor it. And you've got all the answers. You guys have got all the answers. You know your products. Then you can actually fill that need and show value. So that's how it's. And when will you make a decision on it? No point beating around the bush. When are you going to decide? You're going to close the deal.
So when you asked that question, have you ever bought anything like this that you really liked?
Yep.
You're not taking a risk there by, reminding them that there was a different product, not your product, that actually gave them a really good result?
Really. No, it's not really a risk for you.
No. And remember, perception is projection. See, if you ask them that, and you're talking about why your product is guaranteed, because on your website, I think you talk about all the benefits. So they've come to you. They might have liked something else, but they've come to you for a reason. They've looked through your website. So something from that previous product did not work for them. They may have liked it. So have you ever eaten a piece of fruit like an apple, and you say you like it? However, you go to the fruit shop and you pick up a piece of an apple that smells so beautiful. You think, oh, I really want to have that one. You've already forgotten about the other apple that you thought you liked.
It's going to help. Basically, it's helping you to qualify the client if they're serious or not. Okay, I mean, it's like the spinning plates. Whether you see the jugglers for spinning plates, if you've got 25 spinning plates up there, you're focusing on people who maybe they'll buy, maybe they won't. So you need to get people who are serious. And once you've done that, you can fill the need with the value and link it to your value.
Yeah,
because they've come to you.
Right.
So that's how I do it. It works for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a good process.
Has anyone got any other questions?
Have people who come to you got problems?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do people who contact you have problems with their health?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Everybody has problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I probably should come and see you, Sam.
Well, everybody has something. I mean, when you get up to our age, everybody's got something. Rigor mortis is starting to set in.
When we first heard you speak about this 5-step process, I very quickly realised, because we use Dr. Wallach's health evaluation form quite a lot, and I realised that I used to just go in and go, blah, 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 talk about their results.
Yep.
And after hearing about this process, I thought, I've actually got to stop. Before I give them any feedback about the results on that form, I have to stop and ask them what caused them, what led them to fill out the form, like what is concerning them about their health, what major issues do they see they have about their health. And so I was listening, and they were giving me cues as to what product I could present to them and would be readily accepted.
Mm-hmm.
If they said that they had high blood pressure, well, I would lead them to that area on the health evaluation form and say, oh, you did score high in that area, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the product that Dr. Wallach would recommend. So, so that was the linking of the need to the product.
Well done. Good work.
That's your rep system there. So all the predicates and that. So chunk sizes. So chunk sizes is how people talk. And when they talk in chunk sizes that are small, then you match that. Okay. The most important ones are facial expressions. They're very powerful. And blinking. Everybody blinks. So you start blinking when they start blinking. Unconsciously, it's out of conscious awareness, and bang, you're starting to get rapport. Then you can ask your questions. And you listen to everybody, probably jumping, and this I don't quite know if you do this, but if they tell you something, then you take them straight to the area that that can solve the problem. You probably need to just get a bit more qualification, find out exactly and ask those questions that maybe we gave you.
Yeah.
That way then you're getting more buy-in, because it's going back internal, making them think and bringing that picture back up, that feeling of, oh, I really need this. And then when you can say, well, this will solve this, then you're there.
And remember that if you ask only a couple of questions, you think, oh, I know, I've got just what I need for them. I really just want to close this deal quickly and wrap it all up and finish it. Oh, fantastic. Oh, I've made a sale. You know what? You could get to the point where they go, oh, I'm not actually ready to buy anything just yet. I'm just asking questions. Guess what? You haven't really got to the point where they're going to make that decision because you haven't gone deeply enough with your questions. So you're going to get an objection up early.
We've got a question here. How about approaching someone who hasn't come to you? In other words, you're, basically doing a cold call kind of meeting.
Cold call?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, what's the purpose of the cold call?
Well,
Jude, Jude, do you want to unmute yourself and just say what's the purpose? Is it?
Basically, if you're doing cold calls and someone picks up the phone, then this was this brokerage firm that we were working with. You're doing cold calls all the time, or you used to in the old days. You can't do that now. But someone picks up the phone, you're ringing, Jude, was it?
Yes.
Yeah. You're ringing somebody, and if you're ringing me, Judy, I go, hello, how you going? It's a great day. How can I help you? What would I be? What would you do?
I was sort of talking more in terms of meeting someone, like talking to my friends about the products, what sort of questions to ask someone or how to approach it when talking to somebody I already know. Okay.
Use the 5-step sale process. I mean, we do a full 2-day course, but the first thing I want to do is get rapport. Who's the product? When they walk in or you walk in, you are the product. You've got to sell yourself first. Okay, so the first thing you've got to do, I mean, I know they're your friends. Okay, so you want to go and sell yourself. So you build rapport. You start talking the way they talk. It's not, rapport is something that when you're in rapport, people tend to accept what you say less critically. Okay? So if you walk in and go, hi, Gina, I got this great product here. Look, it's really fantastic. It does this and it does that. And you get all excited about it. You want to walk in and have their product in your bag and you build rapport. And then you say, well, I do such and such. This is how I work through it. I work through rapport first. You're the product. They're going to buy you. I mean, they're your friends. If it was easy to sell to your friends, you probably wouldn't need a rapport. But you get rapport first. You use the same language they use. And you say, look, you know that I'm doing, what are we doing?
I don't know.
What are we
Longevity.
doing? Longevity. Then I'm doing longevity. And then when you got rapport, you don't need to keep doing rapport. Okay? You've got it. Just be aware that you can lose it. And if you can lose it on purpose, which when you're getting someone to buy or sign up, they need to be out of rapport because they're in a light trance. Okay? They're in a trance with you.
So imagine how many of you have actually driven from A to B and sometimes got to B and thought, oh, how did I get here?
That's a trance.
That's a driver's trance.
That's hypnosis. But what you're doing is you've got rapport, you're the product. Think yourself, you've got to sell you first. If you don't sell you, it doesn't matter if you've got the best product in the world, you won't sell anything.
That's right.
Because people go, well, geez, I don't know. Rapport is power. So you get you, and then you can bring the conversation, because remember I said, first of all, you're pacing. That's what we mean by pacing. You're developing that connection. And then you're sitting there like this with your leg up and your hand on your leg. Okay, and then you just change. You maybe swap your leg over and they swap their leg over. You are now, rapport, I can lead. Then you lead the conversation to where you want to go.
We had a client, sorry darling, we had a client probably earlier last year who wanted to work in an international technology company. And she had actually applied a couple of times and just couldn't get in. So yes, we do help people who are trying to advance their career. And so she said to me, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So I said to her, have you contacted them and gone in for a conversation about what it is that they do? She said, no, I've never done that. So we went through a process of how she was going to use her words, how she was going to use her tonality and her physiology. And she went into the company with what it was that she had that would align with that particular business. And guess what? She got a job.
It comes back to sensory acuity. Okay, it's knowing what effect you're having. Once you know what effect, then building rapport is easy. So if somebody's angry, you upset them. You go, well, that's not the way to go, because that's sensory acuity. I go. I've seen salespeople upset somebody so dogmatically, but they're just like it goes back to the 60s and 70s where they just beat them down. I'm going to get you. I'm going to keep harassing you until I've done that with the best of them. But it's so much easier to see yourself as a product, build rapport, even though they're your friends.
And they will see, because you believe in it, they will see it through your facial expressions, your behaviour, your physiology, the words that you use. And if you are the embodiment of the product, they will want the same, because like Glen said before, if you like someone, you like them. So if they like what they see.
If you are like someone.
Yeah.
Your unconscious mind says, oh, she's just like me. And then you got it. Like Sam said before, though, and I totally agree with him, you've really got to believe in what you're selling. 150%. You got to be so enthusiastic within yourself that it comes out to what you're saying. But I've seen people, and I've done it myself. I've been doing selling for 30-odd years. I go, and this is trying, do this, and this is what it's going to give you, and all the features and benefits and that. And they go, oh, no, thanks. And then a week later, they go and bought off one of my mates or another competitor.
Does that answer your question, Jude?
Yes, it does. Thank you. Thanks. It's great.
It's really easy, Jude. It's really easy.
What about delaying tactics? So you presented to your friends.
Getting into a full day, not enough time or not enough money, things like that. It won't work for me. It works for everybody else.
No, I'm not ready. I'm not. I don't have the money.
There's usually four ones that cover the whole spectrum.
Yeah. So when you see those, do you just wrap it up rather quickly?
No. Usually that's a smoke screen. You need to ask some more questions, which I haven't given you. I'm sorry. That's really what we do when we run our 1 or 2 day workshops. We do a lot of not role playing
activities, a lot of exercise.
It's not. We don't do role plays. It's you use your actual real life situation, okay? Because role playing is role playing.
So we take the context of, you would bring to the meeting, the workshop that we run, you would bring real life situations. And the thing is that we always say that when we're in the environment of training, whatever is discussed in the training room remains in the training room. So you can talk about something, bring the context there, and because you're actually working on it, guess what? You're going to remember it more, and you're going to remember it well, and you'll be able to apply it.
We use eye patterns for strategies. So the person's strategy. So if you're talking to somebody, they'll look in certain directions because your eyes just don't flop around. And that's teaching you how to look at their strategies, how they make a decision. Okay? So if a person says, talks about something and uses a visual, then a kinesthetic, then auditory digital, and if you repeat that back in the same sequence, when you're offering the solution, they're more readily will accept it. But rapport is the powerhouse. Okay, the rapport is essential. And you can go into a meeting, and someone's got their arms crossed and they've got a scowl on their face. You sit down, and you might cross your arms and that. You can put a scowl on your face, and they might be tapping the desk or something, and you start breathing in time with the tapping. Okay, and then when you've got rapport, you start slowing your breathing down, and all of a sudden they stop tapping and they start talking to you. Because that's so powerful, that 5% physiology and tone.
Yeah, so remember, if you are at a meeting and somebody starts tapping the table or they've got their pen, and don't think that they're trying to annoy you or anything like that. But it's just that,
it's an unconscious action.
Yeah.
When I used to have a moustache, I used to always pose my moustache. Then it made me shave it off. No.
Anyway, any other questions? Any other questions?
So we talk about strategies, answering and handling objections. Can I say, quite honestly, if you have rapport, you probably won't get that many objections. If you're really you're really filling their need, meeting that, the objections should be a lot less.
Remember, because the rapport is at an unconscious level as well. And if you are asking the questions and you're asking them in a real genuine way, using, like Glenn was saying before, the tonality, the physiology, it's amazing what will happen.
Well, I'll give you a little tip. Handling objections. If someone's got an objection, listen fully to the objection, right? Listen to the client's empty doubt. Listen, because if you listen, you'll probably be the first salesperson that's really listened to them. Okay? Let them empty out. Then you can act a bit. Really? Oh, I get it. You mean that's the only reason you're not buying? I don't know. Off the cuff. So, you know, that way then you're bored of that. And if they say, oh, no, then you're smoking out the real reason. And if they smoke out the real reason, you can answer that, can't you? And another thing is, if you haven't noticed, I use what we call tag questions, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Okay. So you want to get, and if a person asks you a question, you can answer with a yes or no, answer back with another question. Oh, if this is the case, well, I can't even think of a question.
Here we go. Here's one. So, look, I can't. Your product's really interesting, but look, I need a bit of time.
No.
Okay.
Can you deliver tomorrow? I'm selling cars. Would you like it in black or white? It's an alternative choice. If you say, can I you to deliver tomorrow? You say yes. I go, oh, possibly I won't be home. I haven't got, you know. But if you ask another question, an alternative choice question, that means they've confirmed they want to buy. Would you like the large bottle or the small bottle? I don't know. Okay, so lots of things.
So that's part of it. That's a closing procedure you're talking about.
Well, you should be closing from the get-go.
Yeah.
Additional closes. You shouldn't be waiting till the end.
No.
Because you should be saying, do you see any value in this? No, I don't see any value. Well, okay. Well, you haven't discovered the need.
And you haven't discovered.
You haven't shown enough value.
What internal representations they tend to use in their decision making as well.
People will come in buying a car or a caravan or your product and they will say, I really need this. But they're also going to have in that internal representation. This is going a bit further than what we're going to. But they'll also have in that all the reasons why they haven't got enough money, they haven't got enough time, all those things. So what your job is when you're asking your questions is to bring all those objections to the surface, get them out in the open. Okay, bless you. Get them out in the open. You should go to longevity. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get them out in the open. Okay, because if you make a sale and you go, well, that was really good, and they say, look, I'll come back tomorrow and buy, and they walk out the door and they've got all these objections you haven't answered.
That's right. They won't come back.
They're not going to come back. So handling objection, that's the only reason you're buying. If I could show you how to buy or what to buy, okay, that's the last. And then you go back to establishing value and then back into rapport.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You can do the sharp angle close. You want them out of trance. In rapport, they're in a light trance with you.
Yeah.
They're very light, but they're in a light trance.
Okay.
And resistance to your message is a sign of lack of rapport. Really, it is. Yeah. If you are getting resistance, there's no rapport. or lack of. So go back, stop selling, go back and build rapport. That's not the words, that's your physiology and your tone as well.
So
on page, but anyway.
Yeah, a common one we get is, oh, it's very expensive, and we bring it back to a day.
Compared to what?
Yeah, so they say that we had a business that had issues with sales, and one of the objections was, oh, we just keep getting this, it's too expensive. And I thought, oh, I like that one. And I said, so compared with what? Compared with what? So when you say that, they have to go in here and go, oh, yeah, well, compared with what?
So what are you offering? You're offering health, longevity, a good life, all that sort of stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, we break it down from a monthly figure of, say, $2.15 to, $6.80 a day, like price of a big cappuccino or 1.5 cappuccinos.
Yeah, look, you need as much specificity as you need. But if someone says it's too expensive, they haven't actually recognised the value.
No. So even if you break it down, that's a dollar value to them. They're still wondering about it.
You need that, but you also need to go back and say compared to what. A moment ago, and you know this, then you get a sales list, like the salesman. Because you've been writing everything down, so you've got this.
And this is where you need to know your product. If you say compared to what, and they come back.
Is this where you don't see value, or this is, or is this where they go no, yes, then you can answer it. So you can go back over all the things you've discussed. It's very important you do that because, again, you need to know your product. Because if you know your product, everything's up here. You don't have to go and say, hang on, I'll just check this brochure over here. Oh, yeah, look, no, this will help you.
And the moment you walk away to check your brochure,
you're breaking rapport.
That's right. And if you've got to try and remember what the product is all about, they're going to start to wonder, does this person really know what they're talking about?
Okay. One last thing. Who uses the word but or however when they're selling? No? Oh, good. I won't tell you. Yeah, don't need it. When you say but or however, you're disregarding what the person's previously said. I'm not going to. I like your product, but it's a great product, but what's that do? But what does that do to you inside? I like your product, but, and you can say, look, I appreciate that, I respect what you're saying, or I appreciate what you're saying, and and's in a connector. A word hasn't disregarded what the client said, and this will do this, this, and this, and this for you. It's a connector, so it connects to the client. So when you say but, and I respect or I appreciate what you're saying. So that's it. That's going, yep, I appreciate, I haven't disregarded it. I understand, I appreciate what you're saying, and this is what this will do for you. So look, they're really good ways of doing it. And when you're making the sale or closing the deal, you actually want to break rapport because you want the person there. Okay, you want the person making a decision that he can't say, did I really make that decision? It's like driving home in the car. Did I really drive home?
Did I do that?
No, you want them to sharp angle, close, you hand them your pen or something like this, or you walk out of the room. You break that rapport and they make the decision. That way then they're not going to think, because there's for things like reassurance strategies, convincers, all those sort of things that we teach as well.
There's a lot more to learn from you too, isn't there? There's heaps more to learn.
It's an absolutely fascinating process to see. And I suppose, yes, we could talk for days about it. We love it. We've seen the outcome. Particularly for people who own their own businesses or people who are managing directors of companies, they just feel like, oh my gosh, the door has opened And we're achieving all this simply because we have greater understanding and we're applying what we've learned.
And I totally agree with Gina. I'll just say one thing. You've actually become consciously aware because we do all this naturally. Okay? So all the stuff you do at the unconscious level. Now that you're aware of it naturally, you'll be able to do it easily and effortlessly. It will just come to you when needed. It will just pop up.
That's right.
Or maybe bubble up. I don't know.
That's right.
Very good. Yes.
So leading up to setting up this webinar, we talked about the possibility of further training and making it available online to our people around Australia and New Zealand. Could you?
We could do that. We put this together very quickly. So
we
get a proper place to do it.
Yeah. So what we do is we get a good understanding of the context, a good understanding of what people are experiencing. So we tend to do a survey, a bit of a questionnaire with participants in advance, and that gives us a good understanding of where they're coming from, because we want to make sure that it is highly relevant for you, for your needs. Yes, and we would be excited to work with people and run a live webinar, and then that way we can also do the exercises throughout the webinar. And believe me, people learn so much from each other in doing so. And not only that, they benefit their business enormously.
Okay.
That's great.
So would you suggest that people go onto your website? It's mindstomorrow.com.au, is it?
Yes.
Yep. And have a look at the different courses that you run. And maybe, we get some feedback from people as to what particularly they would like to learn more about.
We have a 2-day course that we're putting together now. NLP for business and the 5-step sales process. You mentioned before we do timeline therapy. I'm not sure if you guys know what it is, but it's a very powerful use of the unconscious mind and getting the outcomes that you really want.
So
we do in that 2 days. We spend 1 day on the business side, getting in the right state. This can be in a state, any state when you want to, and then also the 5-step sales process. So it'd be full on of exercises and getting to know your unconscious mind.
Yeah.
And we also develop workbooks for people to take away, and then you've got a reference to go back to. And because you're going through all the activities live, it's amazing how many notes you make along the way. And then you can start applying different elements of what you do. And you say, okay, I'm going to try this and see what the outcome is. And in doing so, you're just going to perfect what it is that you're doing. You're going to perfect what it is that you're wanting to achieve. And that's the outcome.
And we also do personal coaching. And we do a thing called the breakthrough session. It's very powerful. So if you want to do the 2 days, the breakthrough session will change the way your past affects you, and change the way you look at your future. And setting goals that are realistic and achievable.
So in terms of options, we do run the 5 steps sales process, or what we call the sales for success. And basically we've done that for businesses, and that would be an option that we can do on a live webinar. That would be a program that we would do over a 1-day period. And if you've got people who are across time zones, we can just split that over 2 days, and that way you can get it all done.
And we do run an NLP practitioner course. If you want to be able to do everything, we take you right through the whole lot, the NLP, also hypnosis and timeline therapy.
And the next one starts on the Saturday, the 15th of September, and it runs for 7 days. And basically...
Next one's February.
And then the next one after that will be in February, and we run that in Brisbane.
But that's actually a physical course, that's 7 day. Yeah.
That's a physical course that you need to attend. Now, the reason it's a physical course is because you get 4 certificates in the 7 days that you're there. It is an intensive. We love the intensive, and so do people who attend. But you get 4 certificates, and what that means is you get a certificate as an NLP coach. You get a certificate to be an NLP practitioner. And because we take you through hypnotherapy, you'll get a certificate to practice hypnotherapy in a limited range, and you also get a certificate for timeline therapy, which is absolutely outstanding. And when you think about the industry that you're in, which is improving people's health, it's amazing how this package together with your industry can make an enormous difference. And we think that's great.